Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for that welcome. Thank you for welcoming me to Nebraska, my first time in the state with such a wonderful, beautiful weather. As you heard, my name is Deborah, and I am president of the ACLU. I've been in that role for 5 years, but the ACLU has been a real kind of mainstay in my life. I am the first person in my family to graduate from college, a first-generation American citizen. And I came to this work because I wanted to fight for people like me and families like mine and our ability to live with dignity and respect. And I started that work at the ACLU as my first job out of law school. I was a fellow in the national office in 1997. And the ACLU, I'm dating myself, but it's okay. And the ACLU has been an important part of my life ever since. And I'm just so happy to be here to help celebrate the ACLU of Nebraska and 60 years of truly extraordinary work. 60 years of defending freedom, of protecting dignity, 60 years of insisting that the promises that are embedded in our Constitution belong to everyone, not just to the powerful, not just to the popular, not just to the people whose rights are easy to defend. Because we as a country are good at making promises, big, broad, beautiful promises, but really sorry in keeping those promises. And anniversaries like this invite us to look backward, to honor the history, and to celebrate the accomplishments of everything that has come before. But they also force us to ask harder questions. What does this moment require of us now? How must we evolve from where we started to meet the challenges of the moment? And I think we all know that this is no ordinary moment. That gap between the America that was promised and the America that many of us, even in this room, experience every day feels wider than it has in a really long time. We are promised equal justice under law, yet too many communities still experience unequal protection, unequal opportunity, and unequal voice. We are promised democracy, yet we continue to see attacks on voting rights, on bodily autonomy, on immigrants, on LGBTQ plus folks, on racial justice, on dissent, on the meaning of citizenship and belonging itself. We are promised liberty, yet too often liberty is rationed, expanded for some, and then completely denied to others. And when that gap between promise and reality grows too wide, democracy itself becomes unstable and begins to collapse. And I think we are all feeling that each and every day. And that is where the ACLU comes in. Because the ACLU, our work has always been about closing that gap. Not just in courts, not just in legislators, but in communities. We say often that the ACLU was built for moments like this. We were built to defend rights when they are under attack, built to stand with people who have been excluded from the protections of the law, built to insist that the Constitution means something in the lives of every person. And importantly, built not only nationally, but locally, because civil liberties and civil rights are ultimately lived locally. They're lived in our schools, in jails, at polling places, at protests, at the border between belonging and exclusion that so many of our communities are forced to navigate every single day. And that is why our affiliates are so essential. The strength of the ACLU has never been simply that we have a powerful national office filled with some of the most gifted, talented, persistent, and creative advocates in the country, and we definitely do. One of our strengths is that we are rooted in communities all across the country, especially in frontline communities, places like Nebraska. And what the ACLU of Nebraska has shown us for the last 60 years is that even in difficult political environments, even in moments of deep polarization, courage, persistence, and principled advocacy still matter. This affiliate has done tremendous work. It has defended due process for immigrant families separated by ICE, protected the religious freedom of indigenous people incarcerated in Nebraska prisons, fought to preserve voting rights for Nebraskans wrongfully denied access to the ballot, protected students' rights to wear natural hair, tribal regalia, and to cultural expression. They've mobilized communities against attacks on bodily autonomy and transgender rights. They've ensured that people sitting in county jails across the state still received information about their voting rights because democracy does not end at the jailhouse door. And that work matters. All of it matters. And it matters not just because of the individual victories. Those victories are incredibly important. It's important that we make sure that everyone, each and every day, gets to experience the full power of the rights that they have. But it also matters because each of those fights is really about something bigger. It's about who belongs, about who gets to live with dignity and respect, about whose rights are treated with respect, who gets to enjoy all the privileges that living in this country says it will bring. It's about whether democracy is something that we merely talk about, and we're certainly talking about it a lot, celebrating this 250th anniversary that is coming up. Or is democracy something that we actually build together for all of us? The affiliates in the ACLU are not the local expression of the national ACLU mission. They are central to that mission. Because constitutional rights become meaningful only when they are defended where people actually live, day after day. And often, these affiliates see the future first. You all see the attacks first. You see the harms first. You see the emerging threats to democracy before other folks across the country fully understand what is happening and what the impact of that is going to be. But you also see the resilience first. You see communities organizing. You see young people stepping into their leadership and their power. You see people refusing to surrender their dignity or their voice. And in moments like this, that resilience is what is going to take us through. It matters because it reminds us that the story of civil rights and civil liberties in this country has never been a straight line of progress. It's always been 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes 2 steps forward and 4 steps back. Rights have always had to be defended again and again, day after day, year after year, decade after decade, and generation after generation. So the people who built this affiliate, some who are in this room today, and people who built this affiliate 6 years ago, they understood all of this. They understood that constitutional promises do not enforce themselves. People do. And now it's our turn to defend democracy, to protect freedom, to narrow that distance between the country that we are and the country that we claim to be. And that work is hard. It can be exhausting. I have to tell you that I am tired, right? But we keep going because there's no other choice, no option. If we don't push forward, they're just going to push us back. And that's not an option for anyone in this room. And if the last 60 years of the ACLU of Nebraska teach us anything, it is this: progress is possible. Not inevitable, definitely not permanent, but possible. Because people choose to fight for it. People like the people in this room. So tonight, not just in celebration of what the ACLU of Nebraska has accomplished, it is also a recommitment to the work ahead, to building a democracy where our rights are real, where belonging is expansive, where freedom is not selective, and where the Constitution lives not just on paper, but in the daily lives of the people it was meant to protect. We are grateful. We are grateful in the national office to the ACLU of Nebraska, grateful to all of the individuals who have stood with the ACLU of Nebraska, who support the work of the ACLU of Nebraska. Grateful for you for coming out tonight to help us celebrate. And thank you all for continuing to lead the fight. And I look forward to further conversations this evening.